A Marine is characterized as one who possesses the highest of military virtues. He obeys all orders, respects his seniors, and strives constantly to be the very best at everything he does. Discipline and spirit are the hallmarks of a Marine. You too can become a Marine if you develop discipline and spirit. We will give every effort to train you, even after some of you have given up on yourself. You're listening to Two Marines, One Mic.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Marines, One Mic. As always, I'm Phil.
And this is Wade.
And we're your hosts. What? Bow, 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 bow.
Hey,
So, 51, whatever. I'm going to keep doing it, man.
51,
Get over
51.
it. 51. And Sandra was actually like in the 30s. The original recording of this episode was in the, I think we were like 31 or 32, right? It was like 2 months ago, was it not, Sandra?
I think so. Time goes by fast, but nevertheless, we're here, and that's the important thing.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. So before we introduce Sandra more than her first name, we have a purpose behind our podcast, and we'd like to bring some value to every single episode that we put out. So Wade, what's the purpose, man?
The purpose of this podcast is to give you, the listener, and today, the viewer, information, skills, and tools that we learned in the Marine Corps that you can apply to the civilian world and ultimately improve the quality of your life.
Absolutely, man. And I'm super excited to be here right now. You know, I'm always excited to jump on the microphones, jump behind my big red desk, and talk to all of you fine people about things that I've done and my experiences that have changed my life and that are continuously changing my life. And we are always looking for people that have inspiring stories and that do inspiring things with amazing people. And Sandra Gonzalez is one of those people. Yeah, and she's a Marine, which is also super cool. So, Sandra, I'm going to let you take it. Do a couple-minute intro and tell everybody who you are, what you do, why you do it.
Well, first of all, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and most importantly, your interest in what I do. So I am a speaker and I'm a warrior coach, and I empower ambitious women entrepreneurs to develop mental, emotional, and physical toughness. I believe now more than ever, the ability to develop grit, also known as mental toughness, is needed in life and in business. And I love working with ambitious women because they have an insatiable appetite for growth. They're, this type of woman that she believes in building, healthier habits and just really stepping outside her comfort zone, right? So because I love working with this type of woman, she is a person that drives me to be better and to help her. So as a retired Marine officer, I have to throw that in there, right? I mean,
100%.
As a retired Marine officer, I actually, integrate what I learned in the Marine Corps. So the 20 years that I invested, serving our country, I integrate that into my coaching methodology because it works. So I'm passionate about helping ambitious women and men, because as a speaker, sometimes I help men as well.
Oh, good. They let men in some of those audiences?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
There's definitely men. And it's funny because sometimes when I'm addressing the women, the men are the one you can see. They're the ones that I've piqued their interest and they're taking notes. And so I'm like, oh man, the men are all about this information. So I believe this information will serve both men and women.
No, I think that's incredible. And, lucky for us, we've had an opportunity to already record a podcast with you and kind of understand a little bit better of what it is that you actually do and why you do it. So I want to go back to a story that we talked about in the first time that we recorded this podcast about you working for a famous general / former Secretary of Defense now by the name of General James Mattis, and what that experience was like as a young Marine working in his office, and just kind of why that inspired you to be where you are today. like the changes that made for you?
Oh, that made all the difference in my military career and into my business. So that general you're talking about was actually my first commanding officer a couple years ago.
Downhill from there.
While I was a part of, one of the fiercest organizations in the Marine Corps, 7th Marines. So,
oh yeah.
At the time, Colonel James N. Mattis, I worked directly for him. And as an 18-year-old, I witnessed his impeccable, character, just his confidence, his wealth of information, and how he influenced the masses. But even though I was 18 years old, I wasn't naive to the fact of how influential this man was, and I learned as much as I could from him. But he was definitely one of my role models as I picked up, more responsibilities, more leadership in the Marine Corps. He was definitely one of my role models. I always thought, what would General Mattis do in this case? And
that's awesome.
That's kind of one of the things that helped me grow as a leader. But without a doubt, to this day, I still think about him. He's an amazing man.
You kind of touched on some of the things that you learn in the Marine Corps that you do apply to not only your coaching clients, but your own life. And that's something that we really love to talk about, is just things that are applicable that we do learn serving our great country that we keep with us and still embody to this day. And that type of footprint, that type of impression, those type of character traits. So can you share with our listeners some of those things that you maybe use not only with yourself, but also your coaching clients?
Absolutely. What a great question, Wade. And I, right off the bat, it's what I teach and what I'm passionate about is mental toughness. And I realized when I was a Marine Corps drill instructor, I had the honor and privilege of, pretty much like, I'm thinking at least over 500 men, specifically women. When I was a Marine Corps drill instructor, you train women for the rigors of combat. But the one thing that I found was a common trend. It wasn't necessarily their talent. It wasn't necessarily, their gifts, their skills. It was this ability to overcome setback, this ability to survive, and it was their ability to develop grit that enabled them to persevere and succeed and earn the title United States Marine. So I found, as I was building my leadership skills, I found that it was so impressive. So, that this personality trait, can anybody cultivate it? Can anybody harness this muscle, so to speak? And I realized that absolutely anybody can. It's the ability to make a decision. It's the ability to practice and persevere. And those are some key fundamental strengths that we cultivate in the military. Athletes are also really adamant about building their perseverance. And that's why I teach that now. It's because I realized it's the mental toughness that keeps you in the fight. It's a mental toughness that enables you to persevere and continue with your podcast. It's a mental toughness that enables you to experience weight loss and move and achieve other bigger goals in life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you answered the question that I was going to ask you. I was going to say, is grit something that's attainable by the everyday person? Somebody that has no experience with having it force-fed down their throat, in Marine Corps boot camp or in the fleet or, in a combat situation, trying to overcome obstacles of all types. That that is something that you believe that somebody can learn right off the streets. I mean, it's not easy, I imagine, but what do you think are some key things that you would need to develop something like that? Because it's not easy for Marines to develop it, right? So obviously it's not going to be easy for, like we said, an everyday person that works a 9-to-5 job to develop actual grit, like true persevering skills that we are basically handed, right? We have no choice but to adapt or die in the Marine Corps. So what is that adapt or die in the civilian world?
Great
for you?
question.
Like, what is that? Yeah.
Absolutely. And in order to simplify that question for them to understand, the best way to develop, this muscle is through habits. And that's why I've further simplified the process of helping somebody develop a high caliber habit. Because the moment you understand how to develop a high caliber habit, which is a positive habit in your life, it really creates this ripple effect in other areas. So as you develop this habit, you build this mental toughness. You realize that, oh, wow, I am experiencing setbacks, but I'm still going to move forward because I'm building loyalty to myself. So to answer your question, I hope I answer your question, Phil. It's the ability to develop the right habits in your life that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I think that's a spot on answer. I would agree with you 100% there.
I think last time we spoke, it was like January. Was it January or is December? It was like right around where we were launching a challenge and we talked about goal setting.
We won that shit, by the way.
Yes, we just found out yesterday that our gym, Evolution Fitness in Boca Raton, has once again retained the title of Gym War Challenge winners based off of results. You want results? Evolution Fitness.
Back-to-back Gym War champs, like
back-to-back
World War champs.
We retain the title. But we talked, I believe, about goal setting and how important that is, because we take it very seriously when it comes to launching these challenges, that you can't just say, I want to lose weight. It can't be floating around in your brain arbitrarily. It's got to be definitive. It's got to have a time attachment to it. So what are some of the things that you work with your coaching clients regarding goal setting? Any tips, any tricks to develop these high caliber habits?
Absolutely. So for me, or as I develop my clients, in achieving bigger and better goals, the basic building blocks of achieving these goals are habits. So you really want to simplify the system and focus on one high caliber habit. We're already distracted. There's environmental factors out there, technology, our phone, our families, our business. And
she's watching me take pictures. I'm paying attention.
I know you're paying attention. So as you're focusing on your goal, the thing that you want to break down is how you're going to achieve this goal. So it starts down by these basic building blocks, which is your habit. So if the end result is you're trying to achieve weight loss, for example, right? You're trying to achieve, Sandra, I want to lose 10 to 15 pounds. It's like, okay, I get it. What are we going to put in place every single day? Because it's these little daily investments that help you reap the rewards, right? So one of the things I do with my client, I kind of dial it back and I tell her, look, you want to focus on the daily investments, right? Don't focus on that end result just yet. You definitely want to keep your sights on that end result, but what are you doing on a daily basis as far as taking action, right? So that's where these habits of eating right, exercising, these small little investments are what, eventually that's what's going to pay off dividends. So I break it down even further so she understands what she needs to do on a daily basis. because that's the way I would want it, right? And as a drill instructor, going back to my military experience, you teach recruits like Barney style.
Old Barney.
And you know what? And even though I work with professionals, it's the same concept. I break it down Barney style so she understands. So she's not inundated with information. And she's like, okay, I totally have clarity, Sandra. I know what I got to do. This is totally doable. Let's do it. So now she understands. Now she's enthusiastic about achieving her goal, and it's manageable. So I know I kind of covered a lot because I get enthusiastic about, like anybody achieving bigger and better goals, because that's what brings you to life, right? That's what gives you enthusiasm. And the little daily wins is what places you on the right trajectory. And eventually the results will come as a result of you practicing the right habits.
100%.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's great that you're enthusiastic. You should be enthusiastic, right? If you're not enthusiastic, if you're not evangelical about what you're doing, like, why should anybody else fucking pay attention to you?
Right. And I think that's why it's so important to really break it down Barney style to the point where, like, look, this is so simple. Just focus on these two things, and you're going to see results.
That, and I really believe that people love to overcomplicate things. People love to, and it's that simple. Like, I can literally mess up taking the trash out. I'm kidding. What's today? Recycling, cardboard. What do we got?
I don't know where you're going with that, but now I get it.
Yeah. No, and making it from kitchen to trash can, like, I can overcomplicate that, dude. That's just how my brain works. I think of 1,000 things at one time, and most of the time, the best idea for me specifically is to slow the fuck down. That's for me. Slow down, one thing at a time, one decision at a time. Hey, let's work through this. And once I handle that, once I learn how to slow my entire mind down just a little bit, not the speed of not my decision making, nothing else, but the way that I process thoughts makes me more efficient. Therefore, I can multitask better once I figure out how to do that. Right? Once I'm not worried about, do I tie the trash bag left over right or right over left? And I just tie the fucking trash bag, like, I'm good. I can move on to the next thing, right? I got to grab some extra trash on the way out to the kitchen. I'm done with my trash example, but you get it.
That's a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
Just kidding. One of my trainers just gave me a book called The Compound Effect. It's basically encapsulating everything that you just said. It's just stay focused on small little changes and then being super consistent over time. You'll see the results. You don't get 20-inch arms after 1 or 2 years of training. It takes time. It takes, being diligent with all of those things that factor into fitness, to sleep, to nutrition, and then time. It just takes time to get to where you want to go. And that's, I think, part of the problem is we're so inundated with technology, like you stated earlier, and we're distracted and everything is instantaneous. We're being advertised in more ways than ever. It's not just TV commercials, it's Instagram, Facebook, and quick and easy and fast and solutions. And, because it's tough to sell a product and say, listen, this is going to take you a year and it's going to be really fucking hard. Oh yeah, let me sign up for that. That sounds like a great program. No, I want a 21-day cleanse or some crap.
6-minute abs.
6-minute abs. It's just
Right.
gotta work.
And that's another thing that when I started out in my business, I did personal training for a while, and I realized there's another key component missing here that I can really help her with, and that's the mindset. So I realized I need to really help her with this warrior's mindset. And that's where I developed my methodology, that mental toughness. It's the sexiest personality trait you can cultivate. Of course, I'm biased and I'm always going to say that, but that's my personal opinion. But when you develop this sexy component, this personality trait, it just enables you to do so much more. You're more confident, right? You develop patience, which is another thing I believe we're lacking. We don't have patience. to sometimes believe in ourselves and in our capabilities and what we're doing in that moment. That the small little investment is what's important right now, right? So we get sidetracked. So it's more than just achieving these goals, but it's this warrior's mindset that enables her to kind of focus on herself, be more mindful, practice self-awareness, and understand, okay, where am I at now and where do I want to go?
Sure. Yeah, it's 100% being more focused on yourself. I think that if you half measures avail us nothing, right? Like there's no middle of the road with entrepreneurship, with mindset, with mental toughness, fortitude, whatever. Like you can't be like, oh, I'm just going to stick my toes in the water a little bit and see if I like being in control of my life. Like, it doesn't work. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. There's no middle of the road solution for you. If you're not sure, then either don't do it or do it all the way.
Yeah. And that's, again, one of the reasons, another reason that I love mental toughness. It's because it's building loyalty to yourself.
Sure.
Mental toughness is the ability to develop loyalty to yourself as you build perseverance and passion in the pursuit of something that you want to achieve.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with building confidence. People, how do I build self-confidence? And back to Ed Milet talking about, why do people lack confidence? It's because you can't keep promises to yourself. You say that you're going to get up at 6 a.m. and you don't every single day. So the more often that you can keep promises to yourself, the more confidence that you're going to build. And whether or not you have to set yourself up with small wins and like basically rig the game, we talk about that pretty often to build some confidence. Like, I'm going to put both shoes on today. And no shit, like you're going to walk out of the house with 2 shoes on, I hope. So, hey, I won, right? And in your mind, that's going to register as a win. That's going to register as a win. I'm going to make my bed. Cool. Like today, I just folded my blanket. Hey, same concept, right? I won. Folded the blanket. Yeah, setting yourself up for wins. When you can keep promises to yourself is when you can start to build self-confidence.
And I think you gave the best example that I give, Phil, which is as soon as you wake up, before you brush your teeth, make your bed. That simple task gives you such a great feeling of accomplishment. And that's initially how you want to start off your day. So my recommendation for your listeners is to make their bed every day.
I never make my bed, but I will tell you that I think it's great advice. But my win in the morning is I get up and read my goals. So I'm regimented. I try and get up around the same time every morning. And I make sure I absolutely do that. Like that's my little win in the morning. I'm not making my bed. So, so I make sure that I read. I have them written on my mirror. So because sometimes it's like 4:20 in the morning and you're half asleep. So it's easy to miss it. So it's like on my mirror in the second bathroom. Then I go in where I do like make the magic happen. Oh, and, nice. And I read them in there.
He hasn't been in there in a while.
Yeah. I read them. I read them in there, and that's like my little win to start the day. Because there's some days that I don't do it. There's some days where I'm just like, moving fast, and I forget to read like 4 or 5 little goals or affirmations or whatever you want to call them. But it does make a difference. Like the days that I do it, I feel like a sense of, hey, I'm walking out the door with like a little win to start the day.
Right. And that sense of accomplishment is what fuels your self-esteem. And when your self-esteem is intact, you're going to have more self-confidence.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, but it's a snowball effect. You're just those little wins to get the ball rolling down the hill.
The point is, do something fucking productive with yourself as soon as you get up. That you can say, oh man, I look back, hey, I accomplished something already today.
And making the bed's a great one because there's a Navy SEAL that gives that commencement speech that it's like a viral video I've seen it on Facebook, YouTube.
All right, man. What do we got as far as are we doing billboards?
We got the billboards coming up.
Billboards coming up. Sandra, are you ready for the billboards? Did we billboard you last time?
We had to. We never not billboard.
Remember?
Sounds really bad.
Well, the billboard question stolen from Tim Ferriss.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. if you had a giant billboard for the world to see, everyone would see your message to the world, what would your message to the world be?
My message to the world would be this: step up and accept responsibility.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. And it's super simple, Sandra. It doesn't need to be complicated. I think that's actually a good name for this podcast. I think it's super simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. Cool. So the second thing that we ask Sandra is for a mission of the day. So what we do with all of our listeners every single week, we institute a challenge, something very small that our listeners can implement into their life for the next week, or hopefully longer than that, to help them improve maybe with some of the stuff we talked about today.
A small little mission for today. I think I already shared one. Definitely making your bed.
Yeah.
It gives you that sense of accomplishment. Another one I'd like to share is being, as you're making your bed, be mindful of your thoughts. So one of the things that I share with my clients to keep them engaged is, stay supercharged. My recommendation is you want to be this supercharged Sandy, not this negative Nancy. And I hate to bash on Nancy.
Sorry, Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy just didn't make it today. That's okay.
Sorry, she didn't make it. But stay supercharged, right? And you're responsible for that. So you accept responsibility the moment you wake up, you're making your bed, but you're being thoughtful of your thoughts. And as your thoughts come up, right, you want to make sure that they're positive, because positive thoughts purify negative thoughts. So that's my mission, is as you're making that bed, be mindful of the thoughts that pop up, right? And then if the negative thoughts pop up, it's like, oh, it's that freaking negative Nancy trying to pop in. Learn to deflect.
Self-awareness. Focus
on staying supercharged, because a positive purifies a negative.
I love it.
Oh, I love it.
Sandra, where can everybody find you?
I am on Instagram, Monday through Friday. I try to post some informative, positive information regarding mental toughness.
Cool.
The Sandra Gonzalez.
Okay.
On Instagram, or they can come to my website. I have free guides, sandragonzalez.com.
Cool. I love it. Sandra, thank you so much for not only joining us today, but doing this twice. So it's been a really incredible experience, and we're super glad that we could connect with you more often. I think we've spoke a couple of times since then, and it's been great. So we're super grateful to not only have you on our podcast, but to be able to call you a friend and call on you when we need you. And I hope you feel the same way.
Well, I think you're my brothers at heart. I definitely feel the same way. I can't wait to visit you and come to your gym.
Yeah. Come on.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Stay fierce, stay in the fight, serve others through humility, integrity, because that's how we do. I mean, that's how Marines are, right?
That's how we roll.
And thank you for this opportunity, gentlemen.
Anytime.
I love what you're doing.
So
I think it's awesome. So thank you. And thank you for connecting us with Sergeant Major Mario Fields.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
He's hysterical.
We had fun with him.
Yeah,
Most motivated Marine in the Marine Corps.
You guys got to do a podcast with him.
We did.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. It's funny.
Yeah.
Cool. Wait, what do you got? Final thoughts, man?
Man, final thoughts. I actually love the billboard. Step up and accept responsibility, because you just got to own it. You got to own it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's nobody else's fault, man.
It's nobody else's fault.
If your life's not where you want it to be at right this second, right now, it's your fucking fault. And the faster you realize that, the faster you can accept that, the faster you can make a change, whether you want to get better or worse. It's up to you.
Well said, Phil.
So, Sandra, thank you so much one more time. And then also, if you love listening to our podcast, this is for everybody else, listeners, viewers, space shuttle, whatever, pilots, we're talking to you. And if you love our podcast, make sure you tell a like-minded friend about us. Don't tell every friend, because I don't want to hear the DMs. What are we doing? Subscribe to the podcast. Yeah, subscribe. iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube. whatever else machines that we're on. We're probably on a few more that I don't know about.
Yeah, we should have some people saying they're watching us on YouTube because they can't figure out
how to watch a podcast.
That works.
There's your first problem. Again, thank you to everybody for listening and watching. We're super grateful to be in the coming up on, we're getting closer to 20,000, man, which is super cool.
What?
And I think that that's absolutely incredible, for Wade and I, starting with nothing and having, no idea what the hell we were doing in the first place, and getting this podcast up and rolling, and people are listening, it means that we're doing something good. We're having great guests like Sandra on.
That helps.
So cool. One more time. Thank you so much, everyone. If you love us, subscribe, tell a friend, like-minded friend. And until next time, we're out.
Semper Fi.
A Marine is characterized as one who possesses the highest of military virtues. He obeys all orders, respects his seniors, and strives constantly to be the very best at everything he does. Discipline and spirit are the hallmarks of a Marine. You too can become a Marine if you develop discipline and spirit. We will give every effort to train you, even after some of you have given up on yourself. You're listening to Two Marines, One Mic.